Hello and welcome to Tools in the Shed, a podcast powered by CarsGuide, ready to rip into car stuff that's caught our eye this week. I'm James, and with me is Mal.
G'day, James.
And Richard.
Hello, James.
This week, we're looking at a legendary Toyota, the next generation of which is lighting up our site. We'll talk about new arrivals in the CarsGuide garage this week, and we'll catch up with a man, some say a god, whose profile has grown exponentially over recent years in this week's Must Watch. So stay with us. But happily, we've had some feedback, and the majority of it was about the Kia Ute, the rendering of which we discussed, and the potential for that car. Now, Joel Bowden made the general point. He said, why is every podcast in living memory been around a Ute? You know, are they really that exciting? Pretty sure there are no more Utes or pickups left to talk about, which I thought was a good point. Other than that, keep up the good work, guys. Loving the podcast. Look forward to them every week, which is brilliant. Now, our old mate DeCook came in and said, just look at the numbers and views and comments under the Ute posts. And they attract not only an Aussie audience, so it seems that Utes are a hot topic. And that's exactly what it's about, you know. Mal, you might want to comment on this, but we try and focus on whatever's been pushing people's buttons on the CarsGuide site during the week to flesh it out a bit more here.
Yeah, and it seems to work. You know, what's popular on the site tends to be popular on the podcast. So
yeah. So that's
sadly, Utes are a big thing.
I mean, Utes are obviously, that DeCook's right. They are a bit of a hot topic right now.
Look, DeCook's been right about a lot of things.
I'm sure he loves the way you pronounce his name, Richard.
I believe I'm pronouncing it the right way, even though he's corrected me.
Even though it's his name.
You're just putting the Australian accent on it, Richard.
That's right.
No, it'd be DeCooko. It'd be DeCooko if it was Australian.
Right.
David Best says, the Kia Ute looks cute with a K. Us white colour types just want a Ute that ticks the majority of boxes. All of the current crop are compromised in one way or another, whether it be safety, performance or comfort. So bring on 21, 22. He's looking forward to the Kia Ute's arrival. Prince Dog says, now Prince Dog used to be official, so he's no longer official. This could be a ring-in Prince Dog, but...
Is he formerly known as Prince Official?
Prince Dog Official, yes, but he's now just Prince Dog. I'd consider buying a petrol Ute from Kia if it had the engine from the Stinger. Now, others have mentioned this, many others mentioned this. Mm-hmm. On long trips, it would still be efficient, but have performance that diesels can't match whenever you feel the need. So it would be a pretty exciting car, wouldn't it, with a twin-turbo V6 under the bonnet. Eamon Madry says, now, thank you very much for the effort you're doing. I'm following you from Tunisia. Even the market specs in our country is not the same as yours, but we can find some similarities with some Asian brands. So I'm very interested to know more about the new Kia pickup. And look, stand by, Eamon, because we may have just a little tidbit that you'll find interesting. And Panchon says, I'd love to see Kia Ute coming to the Greek market too. So we've just added Tunisia and Greece to our lineup of the USA, Germany, New Zealand, Russia. And I want to put a shout out to anybody watching or listening to feedback and let us know where you are watching or listening from. It would just be fantastic.
It's almost like this is going all around the world or something.
Well, it's this thing called the internet, Richard.
Worldwide.
It's a bit like it's a bit like a giant library. All this information in there, and you can access anything you want. It's amazing.
It's all connected by cables, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. String. Now,
www.us.
Teo Ryu says, this is the tidbit, found a leak source saying Kia will have the, quote, Ford range arrival around 2021-22. The first rumour in 2017 was that Kia will be using the frame of the Kia Mojave, which is a large body-on-frame SUV selling in Korea and Russia. So that's interesting. For one, you guys may be different. I hadn't heard that, so that's interesting.
I had heard something about that. You know, if it's going to be a proper 4x4 Ute, it does need to have a body on frame, chassis. But I don't know where that ended. I'm not sure if they're developing their own chassis separate to that. But Mal, do you know anything about that?
Oh, I'll just say in general, they'll be trying to make it share as much as possible with other models.
Yeah.
But the timing, whether it works for the current Mojave, not sure. It
Yeah.
could be, if it does, it could be paired with the next Mojave.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. And all it caused me to do was go off and have a look at the Mojave, and the latest version of it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's a domestic model and into Russia. It looks slick as. So if they could get the front of that thing onto the Ute, as well as the underpinnings, I think they'd be doing well.
Mm.
And for those on YouTube, we'll have a picture of the Mojave up for you to have a look at. Now, our New Zealand correspondent, Wax333, says that the D-Max, he says it's probably the most exciting Ute to be released in 2020 so far. So, he's pretty fired up about it. So the Ute thing, look, we take your point, Joel Bowden, but you can see that there's a fair bit of interest from all over the world in Utes, and we're kind of reflecting and building on that in what we do in the podcast. Now, then we move to the i30 sedan. Now, NZ Sarge 1, now I presume this may be another Kiwi, says that i30 sedan is incredibly horrid looking and just has a kind of green-faced, almost throwing up emoji following it. But Edward Wright says that 2020, he said Solandra, I think he meant Elantra, looks amazing. So we're always saying how different people have a different take in the way a car looks. There it is.
Yeah.
It
Definitely.
probably fits the literal definition of amazing in that, whoa, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Look, it is very difficult to make a small sedan look good. I think Audi managed to do an excellent job of it with the A3. I think a couple of other manufacturers have done a pretty good job as well. I think Mazda have done a good job of making small sedans too. But yeah, it seems to be one of those design feats that's almost impossible, and a lot of manufacturers spend most of their R&D or their D on hatchbacks. Because they know they're going to sell best. But then again, in the US, the sedans are really popular.
That's very old. America loves a good sedan. Yeah,
and I think I think Toyota's kind of on the money with how they've separated the Corolla hatch and the Corolla sedan in their styling. So A-pillar forward they're the same, but from A-pillar back, the sedan is far more sedate. And in Australia at least, the sedan tends to be bought by more conservative buyers.
That's true.
Older buyers.
Look, for what it's worth, I'm very much I think it looks incredibly horrid looking. I'm not loving the look of the car. But Terry Toucan N has chimed in with the Hyundai at the front looks like it's crossed with a Mondeo Tesla wreck, and the arse end is a bit like a Jag. The sides will blend in when all the oldies hit and scrape each other in the car park. So he's saying it's irrelevant what it looks like because it'll just be dented due to the car park collisions.
And in fairness, James, we haven't seen this car in the flesh yet.
No, that's true.
So
well, let's just say picture judgment. I'm not loving it, but anyway, we'll see.
Maybe it'll look better with black and yellow New South Wales number plates on the front.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of completely subjective judgments, Neza has chimed in on the Stinger and says, I'm going to say it. I don't like the way the Kia Stinger looks. Face is too elongated and the back is too bubbly. I don't even want to start on the taillights. So he's critiqued it very hard. DeCook chimed in again. He agrees. He's not a fan. So it is one of those as well, isn't it? It's going to polarise people because it's different. It's quite dramatically different.
And it needs to be bold to do its job. It's
absolutely right.
To open people's eyes to the Kia brand that wouldn't otherwise notice. And if it were bland and boring, it wouldn't be successful.
Absolutely. True. The number of people I know who don't like cars and do like the Kia Stinger because they've noticed it has been pretty impressive.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, just riding with other people, sitting in the passenger seat and they're like, what's that? Is that an Audi? What is that?
Really.
So I think the design, I think Mal, you're right. You have to be polarizing if you want to be noticed. And I think the Stinger is definitely that. So I think they've done an intentionally good job of that.
Well, look, Neza, here it comes. I like the tail lights. So
me too.
Have a go. I quite like it. Now, under the general heading of miscellaneous, Mushin Uquab says, are you guys planning to compare 2020 Defender with Toyota's Prado and or Land Cruiser And once the Defender arrives here, I reckon that'd be a great matchup. And I can't wait to see the Defender land here.
Now, that would be a great comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I'd be worried. Possibly being in the Defender because Toyota's got a pretty bulletproof reputation. Although the Defender looks like it's got the goods. Ooh, I'm not sure I'd be putting my money on the Defender just yet.
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing it.
The Defender's going to provide a great FJ Cruiser option that we're missing these days. It's still a very style-driven thing while hanging on to the capability of a Wrangler. But it's obviously moved on from the utilitarianism of the previous one.
You'd have to say, though, you'd have your money on it being very, very capable off-road. I mean, it just has to be. Sorry, Richard.
No, I was going to be a bit cheeky, and I was going to say, you dropped in the middle of Australia. You can choose between a Defender and a Prado. Which would you take?
Great call. Great
call. You don't have to answer that question. Maybe the commenters can answer that question.
Well, maybe that's the structure of our comparo.
And as always, there's a big difference between capability and ruggedness.
All right. That's right.
Yes. Well, I mean, you could apply that to your good self there, Mal. There's a great difference between capability and ruggedness.
Do tell, James.
You're fairly hirsute. You're matching Richard almost at the moment. Now,
you know what? I like that Mal warned us in the test that we did yesterday for this podcast that he may shave, just so that he didn't throw us if he did.
He's gone. No, he's looked at himself in the mirror this morning. He's gone, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. They've got to see it.
It's almost the same. It's the same length the whole way around now.
I do believe you guys voted to keep the beard on the island, though.
We love the beard.
It's your fault. Now, Bartonez 123, he agreed, or it was further to John Ballard's point from last week. If you guys are handing out Matt Campbell merch, I'm in. I'll take a signed photo and a hoodie, please.
Matt's headshot's done.
Mate, he's got 10x8 glossies, I think. He's got a Sharpie ready to go. So he'll be signing those as we speak. So that's great. Samuel Baker. Now, this was further to TGV's point from last week about going bush to buy a car rather than sticking in a metro area. He said, I used a regional dealer to buy a Toyota Prado. They were much easier to deal with. They were so good that I take a day trip to them each time I need a service. #Healesville Toyota. So there's a shout out to Healesville Toyota, which is absolutely great to hear.
And not that far out of Melbourne.
No, exactly. And a nice drive, actually.
The thing is, he's from Sydney. He's from Sydney, though.
No, he's actually from Cairns.
Said, Richard. Well
said. That's a long day trip. That's a round-the-clock job. Anyway, to finish off, Terry Toucan chimed in again, and we were talking about the Genesis G80 last week, and he simply said the G80 is sexy as you, big boy, with a few different emojis. Now, last week, there was myself, there was Justin, and there was Tom. I'm guessing the sexy big boy is Tom. You know, he's no disrespect to Justin, so Terry can maybe clarify who he was directing that towards, but there you go.
Maybe he left the S off boys.
Oh, good point. That's a very charitable way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries, James.
Now, that's all the feedback. Thank you very much for all of that. We will move on to the main subject. Now, it is, in fact, the Toyota LandCruiser 300 Series 2021. And the latest word that we've had about that vehicle is that in other markets, it's seemingly set for a four-cylinder, a 2.8-litre diesel power plant. But Australia is looking like it's lining up for a V6 diesel engine, which will be pretty exciting news for LandCruiser 200 Series and 300 Series fans, of which there are many.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because they're still bringing out a hybrid as well, aren't they?
Oh, that's on the cards also, yes.
Yeah, nothing's official, but the information's leaked that it'll have a petrol hybrid. Then it leaks that they're going to put a 2.8-litre turbo diesel out of the Hilux in it. But I've always said they are not going to leave us without a worthy replacement for the 4.5-litre twin-turbo diesel V8 that is really what that car's all about.
And it's one word, really, isn't it? It's towing. You need the torque of a bigger engine in such a large vehicle that is so often used for towing.
Yep. Yeah, but also just general long distance comfort and cruisability, overtaking ability on the open road. Plus also with towing and with carrying loads, you always want to overreach with your equipment so that you don't blow it up. It's
under stress.
Once again, big difference between capable and really suited to the job.
Absolutely.
So this seems like an answer to that, I think. But big question mark over the capacity of it so far.
Yep.
Some people are saying 3 litre. I'm thinking it'll be at least 3.5
3.5
or 4 litre.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it's
4.5. We're theorising, twin turbocharged, 3.5 litre V6, and I think we're also putting some numbers out there. 200 kilowatts, 650 odd newton meters, as you say, Mal, yet to be confirmed. But that 650 number, it'd be, you'd think that would get it over the line in terms of what it might need to do.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it went backwards in terms of outputs. Look at the Ranger's 2 litre twin turbo diesel that we all go, oh, it's only a 2 litre. It actually produces bigger numbers than the 3.2. Yet ticks the boxes of emissions and fuel consumption. Official fuel consumption figures for Ford. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same sort of thing with Toyota.
Exactly. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because we know how much the Land Cruiser, or how important the Land Cruiser is to Toyota, especially in Australia. And we know how nervous Toyota was in terms of gauging opinion about how hybrid would go down in Australia too.
Yeah.
So, we know that the hybrid's on the cards, but at the same time, we also knew that they wouldn't go hybrid only. There would be no way they'd do this. So they are still keeping their loyal fans happy with with the turbo diesel V6. At the same time, they're doing what they need to be doing, and that is, as Sean Hanley, the head of the marketing boss at Toyota Australia, has said, they're still doing the right thing by moving forwards in terms of adopting a hybrid technology, and it's all in line with Toyota's rollout of a hybrid of the RAV4, or the hybrid of the Corolla. Now you've got a hybrid of that. So they've made a commitment that they will have a hybrid variant of most of their models moving forward. So
the interesting thing is that the Land Cruiser would be a diesel electric hybrid. That's potentially what's on the cards, which is a bit different and kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're going to see over the next 10, 20, 30 years, we're going to see petrol and diesel engines being slowly removed from lineups. If not for ethical reasons, but for restrictions are being put in by
legislation.
So you can see here that this is the beginning of the new age for Toyota, but at the same time, they do not want to take one foot out of that towing capacity that you get with diesels. So I'm actually quite relieved that they're still potentially going to be doing this. So, there was, and Toyota is as well. I think that they were terrified about what a hybrid would do to their audience in terms of Land Cruiser.
Sure. Mel, over to you, Mel.
James, for the hybrid, my money's on petrol.
Is it?
Yeah. I think a petrol will be that much cheaper to put together, and also better suited to the Toyota hybrid system, how it cuts in and out all the time. Diesels are more complicated. And I also think generally globally, the hybrid will appeal to some petrol-loving markets, whereas the diesel will appeal to us, basically.
Well, that's a great point you raise, isn't it? Because, when you think about Land Cruiser's passionate following in the Middle East, in other markets around the world, yes, Australia is pretty significant for that model, actually. But it's just part of that puzzle. How do you make it work? Such a complex task. All right. Now, that engine too, we're theorising, could find its way. So say it's a 3.5 litre V6 turbo diesel. We've talked previously about the GR Hilux, so the Gazoo Racing performance version of the Hilux. We've also put the case that engine will find its way into that car. And we're saying that by July of this year, the new Hilux will have shown its face. We'll know what it's like. It'll be out there. And we also know that Toyota Australia has registered Hilux GR as a name. So
that's GR Hilux, isn't it?
Yeah, that one. whichever one. GR Hilux, I beg your pardon. Yes, it's critical. You are right.
Doesn't sound right, but that's the way they tend to do it.
That's the way they do it. So that engine in that ute would be pretty special, I would have thought.
Yeah.
And
look out,
if they can make it look the part, I reckon they'd be onto a very good thing.
Absolutely, it's going to have that engine's got at least 200 kilowatts, 650 newton meters. Ranger Raptor at the moment's got 157 and 500 newton meters.
Exactly.
So it will stomp all over Ranger Raptor. And what I like about this is that it will start an arms race.
Yes.
With not that there isn't one already, but you'll start.
Amarok started the arms race.
That's right, Amarok did with its V6 core. Yeah. And look, it's gonna go up and up and up and up. So that GR Hilux I think will be a beast. A 3.5 litre V6 diesel. Yes.
I think further to Amarok's enthusiasm for our Bathurst idea, where we take the utes and they replace supercars, and we have that off-road section halfway down.
Stand by that
straight. Yeah, I think it's got legs for sure.
What were you turning Conrod straight into like a dirt track with jumps?
I think we'd have a Raptor GTHO, and then probably phases 1, 2, and 3, and then Toyota will up the ante, and we'll have a super ute, and it'll end up on the front pages of websites, and it'll end up being killed because they're too powerful.
Yes. I would love to see
writing that story, sadly.
No, he won't, sadly.
I would love to see that happen. Yeah, look, this Hilux has been sort of calling out for something with, more grunt than the current 130 kilowatts and 450 newton meters. Really, that is a work ute, and Toyota have squeezed every little bit out of that as possible in terms of even the cosmetic updates, with your Rogue and everything other, other limited editions. But you can only do so much with stickers and, black plastic bits. So I can't wait to see it.
Current Hilux was introduced in, I want to say, 2015.
2015, yeah.
2015. So by the time this new one arrives, it's 5-6 odd years. So the timing's right. They definitely need a big kick along to keep Hilux up at the front of that pretty ferocious pack. Yeah.
And as we said before, Toyota historically has been really reluctant to sandwich things in engine bays, well within model lives. But I mean the Yaris with that 1.5 litre, is it 1.5 litre 3? Like that just says anything's possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what we expect from the Corolla, GR Corolla, sorry.
Yeah.
Who knows?
What I want to know is that in the next couple of years, so in the next 2 years or so, we've heard through the grapevine that Ford is going to be bringing out F trucks into Australia. Which is very, very exciting. Right-hand made in the factory F truck straight from the US. How will this affect what our little dinky ute market when these monsters appear on our roads? Will people still want a Hilux?
You're the one that referred to an arms race, and I think you're right. Maybe part of the arms race is just going up a size. So maybe the Raptor struggles in that segment, but hey, we're going to trump that with an F-150. And then Toyota comes in with a Tundra or a Tacoma or something like that.
Yeah. Would Aussies adopt those cars? I would, but I'm a bogan.
Hello, look at how successful the Rams have been.
Yes, that's right.
So we've already got Ram, Silverado. Ford is clearly keen. And can I say, when I drove past Broadmeadows 3 weeks ago, over the weekend there was a current model F-150 top of the range. We'll put a photo in, sitting in the car park, left-hand drive, but clearly here for evaluation.
Really?
That's not the one we're going to get, but they're clearly keen to
that's fantastic
to make it happen for Australia.
Yeah, I'm with you, Richard. That's exciting. I reckon it'd be huge fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly think that Hiluxes, Rangers will be trumped completely by the monster pickups that are coming. I think we could be in the final days of the glory days of Hilux and Ranger, bring on our new overlords. I'm looking forward to it.
Malcolm.
James. I don't think it's going to trump Hilux for outright sales, but I think it's going to fill a big hole of hungry people that are currently spending tens of thousands of dollars lifting their Hiluxes, Rangers, etc.
Yes.
Get something
that's
straight
right.
out of the box. It's big.
Because let's face it, we're in the final days of combustion engines.
Let's go out with a bang.
Go out with a bang, baby.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Final years, final decades, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I reckon it might be closer than we think.
All right.
We think.
All right.
Well, now, look, speaking of closer than we think, in our garage, which is not close at the moment, although, Mal, you're in yours, I'm getting the feeling.
Yes, this is not my bedroom.
That's a good point.
Today.
That's it.
Now,
exactly. 40-year-old man's garage, 14-year-old's bedroom. It's the same thing, really.
Richard, I'm not 40.
You've been slumming it. The everyman's car. You've been in a Porsche Cayenne Coupe and the S variety.
James. Sorry, you drove the Cayenne Coupe S. How many months ago?
Oh, I don't know.
The launch. Anyway,
I found it very hard to relate to that car. Obviously, not like you. I think it just slips into your lifestyle like a hand in glove.
Well, my point is, I'm merely playing catch up to James. Anyway. Okay. So this week, yes, I had the Cayenne Coupe S, which I think is the correct sequencing of the model name, which I brought home and drove as permitted under the current restrictions. So the Cayenne Coupe S is the second model from the base of the coupe range. So, I mean, for those that don't know, we've had the Cayenne in all its variants, and now they've brought in the Cayenne Coupe to sit alongside it in the equivalent variants. So the Cayenne range has exploded. So the Cayenne S is second from the bottom. It has the 2.9 litre twin turbo V6 that is also seen in the Panamera 4S and a whole bunch of Audis.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
RS4, RS5 variants, but it actually makes less power and torque in the Porsches for some reason. But sitting beneath the twin turbo V8, the 4 litre Cayenne Coupe Turbo, ironically, and then below the Turbo SE Hybrid, which sits at the top of the range. Anyway, so the coupe. On the surface, I thought, why have they done a coupe version of what was already a pretty coupe-ish SUV in the Cayenne? But after looking at it on my driveway for a week, it kind of I think it makes more sense than the regular Cayenne. Yeah. In that it's more Porsche-like. The regular Cayenne is a little bit less SUV-ish than the norm. But I think this is
I remember saying it in the video after launch that it's all about the optics. That car is very much about making a visual kind of aesthetic statement as much as it is about how practical the car might be, and I think it looks pretty cool.
Can I just say, when Mal was looking at it in his driveway for a week, did you just have the deck chair?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm picturing like a night, day.
We'll put up the time-lapse video later.
It's probably the most boring time-lapse video known to mankind.
Well, that's a matter of opinion, James.
Yeah.
Well, just you in a banana lounge looking at the Cayenne Coupe.
For a week. Desk chair. This is serious work.
For a week.
Anyway. So it's if you think about it, it's kind of the same as what the Lamborghini Urus is, given they share their underpinnings, but its overall profile is quite close to the Urus.
Yeah.
But with Porsche detailing, and I think it's more closely aligned with other Porsches, more traditional Porsches, to look at with that roofline. And you lose a bit of boot capacity above the belt line. Also, it's worth noting that you lose a bit of rear door access as the roofline slopes down, which is fine for people of my height, but Richard, you might have a problem. But that's the trade-off for the looks you get. And I put my 3-year-old son on the back seat, and no worries for me loading him. But also impressively, and this probably goes back to the Volkswagen in the Cayenne, the belt line is dead flat. So he still had no worries at all seeing out from the back seat, which it's pretty handy as a family car.
I reckon it's brilliant, actually. In VW Group now, when you look across Volkswagen Touareg, the Audi, Q7, a Porsche Cayenne, Q8. and the Lambo Q8 and the Lambo Urus, they're now offering people in that kind of powerful, large SUV segment some pretty distinct options.
Bentayga.
Good point. And Porsche, I think, is maturing in its approach to these cars, that they were so far out in front with Cayenne, and now they've brought the Macan as well. that they are making them look more like Porsches. I think you're right. They're kind of getting their head around what they need to do to make it distinctively a Porsche.
And I think it just fits the evolution of the concept of an SUV as well. You know, the SUV really just, as you know, there's a spectrum of what we accept to be an SUV these days.
Yeah.
And it's a very broad spectrum.
Cool. All right, now, look, we will move on. And Richard, you've not been in a Porsche. You've been in another kind of car altogether.
That's right. But actually, I would say that my car is closer to what a proper Porsche should be because it actually has a boxer engine, unlike the Cayenne. I've been in a Subaru Impreza. It's the top of the range Impreza. It's a 2.0 IS. Really good price. $31,000. That's the list price.
That is good price.
Really, that's an exceptional Subaru quality for the interior and the cabin. The only thing is, it looks a lot like a Rex, but with the life sucked out of it. That's being a bit over the top, really. It's sort of being defanged.
Richard, that's being a bit over the top, really.
No, look, it's just been defanged. It looks great. It handles really well. You can definitely feel how well the suspension's been tuned for this or upgraded for this update. But it feels planted. It's great to drive. The steering feels a little bit artificial, but that's the fly-by-wire system. Updates for 2020 include the new grille. It's got new alloy wheel design. As I said, the suspension has been retuned as well. New front fog light design. Big boot. We managed to get all the CarsGuide luggage in there. You'll see that in the review.
That's good.
Taken photos of that. But apart from that, look, it's been pretty invisible on the road, and that's mainly because it's the sedan. And like we were talking about earlier, I think the hatchback version of the Impreza just works a lot better from a design perspective. Nothing wrong with it at all. You still get a great boot in the sedan. It's very large. But I would personally, we swapped it for a hatchback yesterday, and Matt Campbell drove that away. He's going to be reviewing that one, and I was a bit jealous because I prefer the look of that. But yeah, no, guys, it's been a good car. But yeah, for the value for money, it's absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
I think a general. I was going to say a general point, not necessarily around the Subaru Impreza, but just sedan to hatch. The boot might be large, but it's always the height of that aperture, isn't it? With a hatch, when you open the door right up, you can so easily load things in. That's right. So you're more limited in that letterbox shape in terms of what you can shove through rather than a big hatch.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to be able to move any coffee tables in it. But let me just tell you what I did manage to move in it. Because I drove it up to Newcastle, even though we're all supposed to be staying at home at the moment. This room that I'm in now was just packed to the roof with boxes, and we needed to get rid of them. So we had to take them to my wife's parents' place. In the Subaru Impreza, I managed to put a Malibu surfboard, right? A pedestal fan, 2 other fans, a large box of CDs from 1995, a fencing kit with 2 foils and 2 masks.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and this is all in this, in a sedan. So we managed to make it all fit in there. I was actually quite impressed. So
have you kept the 1996 CDs at home?
Still no. Well, thank you, Mel. No, I would say 1992 through to 2000. So a lot of.
Did you have to cut the surfboard in thirds?
No. Actually, how I did it was I opened the boot, folded the seats down, lied the front passenger seat backwards, and then put it straight across the side. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And drove all the way to Newcastle by myself, only car on the road.
All right. This was last weekend, Richard?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. All right, now I will just come in at the end here with the car that I've been driving during the week, which is a Hyundai Santa Fe V6 Active. And so that means it's a 3.5 litre V6, 8-speed auto, and it's 2-wheel drive. So it's not the all-wheel drive version. And 206 kilowatts, pretty high, like 6,300 RPM before you're getting towards peak power. Yeah. And 336 Newton meters, again, 5,000 RPM. So all of the kind of go zone is quite high in the rev range. but it's $43,550. But I've got to say, CarPlay, super easy to use. Really nice cloth trim. It rides very nicely. Good steering and seating position. It picks up nicely in the sport mode particularly. I found it pretty easy to drive. One thing, it is very tight in that third row. It's the one that's for the kids only. And it's a bit of a scrabble to get in there. But you do have a sliding second row, so you can have a negotiation as to how much space you're going to have in the second and third rows. Malcolm, you have a
Malcolm's got his hand up.
Have you crunched the fuel numbers yet?
Not that I've got with me. I have, but not that I've got with me right now. So, keep your eyes peeled for the review is all I'd say. So
just very keen because it's a V6 and you're driven around town.
I found it very pleasant. Speaking of around town, just a very pleasant car to drive, easy, nicely put together. And I think at that, low to mid $40,000 bracket, it has a lot to offer.
How beautiful is the interior in that car too, JC? I think it's
pretty good.
Even in the active,
I was going to say it's cloth trim, but the cloth is really nice. It's got a kind of almost plaited, it's got a profile to it. It feels nice and it looks good.
Yeah. I mean, I think Santa Fe that new generation Santa Fe was the turning point for Hyundai, where suddenly it went from being, kind of a cheap and cheerful brand to luxury Korean. It's very, and
it looks pretty
funny,
slick,
isn't it?
You look at it looks good.
I think we keep sort of redefining that turning point too, because they just keep getting better and better and better.
Well, that's the whole circle, really.
It's going around in circles. It's basically treading water.
I think one of the first was when they brought in the Getz, and we all went, "Oh, this is a pretty decent car now." But then, I-45, well, this is a pretty decent car. And then,
good point.
Very
good point.
I-30 was another turning point. They just keep getting better and better with each new model.
I love the Getz so much. I wrote and recorded a song about it. You guys probably don't know about that. I can play it for you down the line at some point.
Did you cut an LP?
No, but basically it was called Gets You Where You're Going.
Right.
And it was written while on holiday driving a rental Getz. Love that.
Was this in response to a specific commission, Richard, or you just did this on spec?
This was just myself, yeah.
I have one more question. Did you record a film clip a la Joe Exotic?
We might have. It was in Tasmania. Shot in location in Tasmania. Yeah.
Great. We've got to bring it to life. We need
I'll see if I can find it. It's on an old phone, probably a Nokia somewhere.
Excellent. All right. Well, now we are going to move on to one of our favourite segments, if not the favourite segment, Must Watch. Okay, so first of all, we're going to kick it off with, it's been a little bit of a running story. And Elon's been talking about ventilators because, of course, we're caught in the middle of this, blessed virus episode. But Teslarati has reported that Tesla's donated 1,200 ventilators to the city of Los Angeles and 40 units to the Elmhurst Hospital in Queens, New York, which, of course, is brilliant. Doing that is just great. And there are pictures on Twitter, A4 Tesla logos stuck to the boxes, but actually they're made by ResMed, which is a company that specialises in these things. And there's been a little bit of fuss over the type of ventilator that we're talking about. They're actually what's called a BPAP or a BiPAP, bi-level positive airway pressure machine. Now, a BPAP machine, it'll set you back around $800. But according to Forbes, there are more than 8 million users of this type of unit in the USA alone already. An ICU grade ventilator can cost as much as $50,000. So $60,000 more, 60 times more. The US FDA has clarified that CPAP machines, which are usually used to treat sleep apnea, could be used to treat patients with non-severe symptoms. So Musk clarified that it was very important to provide these devices to prevent cases from becoming severe. So just to be clear about the kind of ventilator, and I think Elon still very much intends to devote factory space to producing ventilators. So this is just an initial move on his part.
It's actually it's good to see, because Elon was one of the first people to come straight off the bat and say, what do you need? We'll turn our gigafactory in New York, in Buffalo, into a ventilator making factory. And we've seen the same thing. And we've seen the same thing all around the world. We've got GM in the United States is partnering up with a company called Ventec Solutions, and they're going to produce ventilators on with their designers and engineers. Fiat Chrysler are making face masks in Italy. And even in Australia, Kay Hart, who's the big boss of Ford in Australia, has come out and said we've got 2,000 designers and engineers in Australia. To the Morrison government, what can we do? We're here at your disposal. And it's good to see people like Ryan Walkinshaw from Walkinshaw Automotive have also come out and said, we've got 3D printers. What do you need? We've got guys here who are very capable, very skilled. We can help out as well. So Australia is coming to the rescue too.
Not to mention Erebus and 888.
Absolutely,
and even
yes.
BJR's in on it too. So they're all rediverting their resources.
And it's wonderful, isn't it?
They're experts at sort of coming up with something and turning it around really quickly. They're kind of perfect for it, and they've got nothing else to do at the moment.
I think the operative point there is that 888 has always been called 888 Race Engineering. Right, so it's not just a race team relying on others. They engineer stuff and they know how to do it. So it's really telling.
Exactly. When an engineering team has less than half an hour to come up with a solution to fix a brake system in a car, and they
come make it better than the other car.
Better than the other car, they can apply that ingenuity to anything. It's not just cars; it's engineering. So I like to think this is a silver lining to what is a pretty dark cloud around us at the moment. It's great to see car makers doing this.
And speaking of a bit of humour, Elon also posted on Twitter a chart that says time spent looking at exponential graphs, and the chart is rising exponentially, which I thought was pretty funny. And some people responded back to that with a picture of world's most accurate pie chart. And people on YouTube will see it, and it's actually a pie. And one section is pie I have eaten and pie I have not eaten. so that's pretty cool. And another one followed through with percentage of chart which looks like Pac-Man. Okay, looks like Pac-Man, does not look like Pac-Man.
It has to be sort of like that.
Yeah. So they were pretty good, and people on YouTube will be able to see those. Now, also, Reuters has reported that Elon Musk's rocket company SpaceX has banned its employees from using video conferencing app Zoom. Now, a lot of our viewers and listeners are probably using Zoom to work from home or connect with others or whatever. Anyway, the call is that there are significant privacy and security concerns, according to a memo seen by Reuters days after US law enforcement warned users about the security of the popular app. The FBI has issued a warning saying that it's not end-to-end encrypted, and they've discovered a phenomenon known as Zoom bombing, where people have just Zoomed into school groups meeting via Zoom and joined the meeting. So it's certainly not secure. And as a defence contractor, SpaceX has been classified as an essential business, so they can no longer use Zoom. So just watch out for Zoom bombing if you're out there on that app.
That's a very, very serious situation because the whole world has changed really, really rapidly, and we've adopted this technology, which we only used occasionally in the past, but it's never really been vetted, seriously. And
great point.
Companies which hold United States defense contracts like SpaceX using Zoom, which can be broken into by school children who are doing it in their own classmates. Definitely, it's a good idea not to use it. But I'm enjoying at the moment the fails that are appearing on Zoom and Skype and Google Hangouts, where people are holding company-wide meetings and someone goes off to the loo and puts the laptop down and then
thinking their camera's off. I've got the camera off, I've got the microphone off. I've seen that one. That's pretty horrendous.
Just imagine how much is happening that people don't manage to record.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone's going to start recording every meeting just in case.
We'll close Muskwatch with a share price update. So Tesla share, each one $454.47.
Wow. That is down.
It was $528.16 last week, so it's down $74. And
JC, it was when we were doing the podcast back before coronavirus.
What feels like forever ago, like the end of February.
It was $700, $800.
It was getting towards $1,000. It was in the $900 brackets. But Forbes says, quite rightly, that possible poor Q1 deliveries for Tesla will be reported later this month. You'd have to imagine that's the case because factories have been closed and production capability has been reduced. So it's likely to lower its guidance for deliveries in 2020 to around 200,000 rather than 400,000 in 2019.
Absolutely.
So given little reason for people to buy cars right now, that could be as low as 100,000 for the year of 2020. So the Forbes is saying the market will not take this well, resulting in Tesla's what's called PS multiple falling short. Now the PS is price to sales, so it's a valuation of a company's share price to its revenue. So that's a metric that a lot of share advisors use. It's going to drop 3.6 down to about 1.5. So it will not be as easily recommendable as a buy option. So it's tough times ahead, I think, potentially for the Tesla share price.
Absolutely, and especially in China as well. I mean, we know that the Chinese market has really, really suffered because of COVID-19. We saw the Chinese market drop by like 80%. So, and I'm reading stories that the Chinese auto market is having incredible difficulty starting up again. I mean, quite rightly, people are coming out of a hibernation, and nobody wants to spend any money. Nobody's got a lot of money,
and no one knows where the button on the machine is. Where's the button that starts the press?
It starts
big red one for off.
The big red one for on. Where's the green one? We've never used it before.
But also, if you think about it,
that's right.
We all know that car manufacturing set up, with just-in-time production. And,
that's it.
And so each little element along that line before you get to the factory, so intricately sort of timed and placed. So to start a factory at this end, you're relying on all the other little bits before it.
Totally. That's a great point.
That's it. You can't have them popping out the other side of the factory if nobody's taking them to dealerships and selling them. So,
that as well. Every link of the chain has to be reconnected. You're so right. But
Mal's got his hand up.
I was just going to say, we're talking about Tesla's share price here. Is anyone aware of any organisation that hasn't taken a hit to their share price?
That's totally fair, but I think there are some categories you would have to say that are probably more exposed than others. There are the obvious candidates, and then there are some that are in the mid-ground, and some that may even be thriving because of the way things have changed.
Pharmaceutical companies, maybe.
I would have thought so. Yes.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Manufacturers of particular paper products, that kind of thing.
There you go. Yeah.
But look, on that note, I think we have reached the finish line. Thank you, Mal.
Thank you, James.
And thank you, Richard.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks to our audio-visual wrangler in residence, Mr. Pritchard, for his work in the CarsGuide outside broadcast van. Today, he's in the transparent waterproof pants, the "if you're offended, I'll help you pack" Trump t-shirt, and a man bun visor. He doesn't wear clothes, he wears dreams. And please pass on the word about the podcast and let us know your thoughts by searching for CarsGuide on Facebook and Instagram using the hashtag CGPodcast, or email us at comments@carsguide.com.au. Please do that. If you're an iTunes listener, please rate and review us. And remember, you can watch us on YouTube. But before we go, a mate of mine says he's totally fed up with people whinging about the price of things. $4 for a coffee, $3.50 for a cup of tea, $5 for a slice of cake, and $15 for car parking. Says any more complaints and he will honestly stop inviting friends round to his house.
Oh, James.
I love it.
High five.
Cheers, Did you make that up? Did you make that up?
High five. No.
High five that way. High five to everyone at home.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Virtual high five.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.